The Harrington mansion stood at the edge of Greenwich, Connecticut, a monument of glass, stone, and wealth. Its marble halls sparkled as if no dust had ever touched them. Chandeliers glittered like captured stars, and portraits of ancestors lined the walls, watching silently. From the outside, the house looked alive, filled with light, but on the inside, it felt empty. For Amara Johnson, the young maid who had worked there for less than half a year, silence had become her closest companion. Every morning, she scrubbed the marble floors, her rags sliding against the stone with no sound except her own breathing. Every afternoon, she polished banisters and arranged flowers in vases taller than herself. Yet, in all this, there was no laughter, no warmth. But the silence of the house was not the silence that haunted her most. It was the silence of a child. Isabella Harrington was only 7 years old, a fragile little girl with golden hair that brushed against her pale cheeks. She often sat curled up in a wide armchair by the grand bay window, her small figure swallowed by velvet cushions. Her pajamas hung loose against her frame, her body too thin for her age. Every breath she took came with a faint wheeze, her chest rising and falling as if each inhale was a battle she wasn't sure she could win. When she was 4, doctors had diagnosed Isabella with a chronic respiratory condition. They said she could still live a long, full life if she was cared for properly, if she was shielded from drafts, if she was treated with patience and compassion. But Amara saw how much the illness had already changed her. Tired eyes, sunken cheeks, and a weariness far beyond her years. That afternoon, as Amara mopped the floor, she heard a soft cough. She turned and found Isabella, her shoulders shaking, her small hands clutching a stuffed bunny with all the strength she had. Dropping the mop, Amara rushed to her side. She knelt down, steadying the girl's trembling shoulders. "Breathe slow, sweetheart," she said in a low, soothing voice. "In through your nose, out through your mouth." Just like this, she demonstrated, exaggerating the breaths so the girl could follow. Isabella tried, her chest rattling slightly with each exhale. Tears welled in her eyes. She pressed her face into the soft toy, clinging as though it could protect her from the pain. "You'll be all right," Amara whispered, brushing strands of hair away from her damp forehead. "I've got you. I promise I've got you." But before Isabella could calm, the sharp sound of heels echoed across the marble floor. Victoria Harrington swept into the room, every detail of her appearance immaculate. A pearl necklace glimmered at her throat. Her silk blouse caught the light. Her movements were graceful, yet there was no warmth in her face, only a hard, cold perfection. "She's still sitting here?" Victoria's voice was sharp, every word a blade. Her eyes landed not on her daughter's trembling form, but on the maid kneeling beside her. "Amara, how many times must I tell you? Do not let her lounge in the living room when she looks like this. Guests notice. They start asking questions." Amara's chest tightened. She looked up nervously. "Ma'am," she was coughing. "I just wanted to help her calm down." "Help?" Victoria's lips curved into a cruel smile. "You're a maid. Stick to your cleaning. She doesn't need coddling. She needs discipline. If you keep treating her like porcelain, she'll never toughen up." The word struck like a whip, but the greater wound was carved across Isabella's face. The girl lowered her head, clutching the bunny closer, her eyes clouded with shame. Amara's heart clenched. Every instinct told her to speak, to defend the child, to cry out that compassion was not weakness. But before she could, Another voice broke the tension. "Victoria?" It was James Harrington, Isabella's father, standing in the doorway. His tailored jacket hung loosely, his tie undone. Exhaustion lined his features, but when he saw his daughter, his entire expression shifted. His eyes softened, and within seconds he was at her side. "What happened, my angel?" His voice was tender, trembling as he cupped his daughter's small hand. She was coughing," Amara answered softly. James glanced at her, and in his eyes Amara saw something she had never seen before. Gratitude. Then he turned back to his daughter, stroking her hair gently. "You don't have to hide it, Isabella." "Tell me when it hurts." Her little lips quivered. "Daddy, it hurts when I breathe sometimes." James's jaw tightened. He lifted her carefully into his arms, pressing her against his chest. His voice hardened as he turned to his wife. "I've told you before, Victoria. Her health comes before appearances. I don't care what the neighbors think." Victoria scoffed. "You're too soft on her. Always have been. No wonder she's so weak." "She's not weak," James snapped, his voice breaking with emotion. "She's stronger than either of us. And I will not let her believe otherwise." Amara stood frozen, her fists clenching inside her gloves. For the first time, she saw the line drawn clearly. A father who would fight for his fragile daughter, and a mother who cared more for her image than her child's suffering. And in the middle sat Isabella, breathing unevenly, clutching her bunny as if it were the last thing tethering her to safety. At that moment, Amara made a vow. As long as she worked in this house, she would protect this child, no matter the cost. That night, the mansion felt colder than ever. Amara lay awake in her tiny servants' quarters, her mind replaying Isabella's coughs. Each sound seemed etched into her memory. She finally dozed off, only to wake again to the faintest sound through the thin walls. Soft, relentless coughing. By dawn, Amara found Isabella curled on the sofa, dark circles under her eyes. James sat beside her, a mug of warm honey water in his hands. His shirt was wrinkled, his tie gone. He had clearly stayed awake all night. "You should have woken me," Amara whispered, kneeling beside them. James shook his head, his voice heavy with exhaustion. "She asked me not to. She didn't want you to worry." His lips trembled. "I can't stand watching her suffer. It feels like I'm failing her." Isabella tugged at Amara's sleeve with her small fingers. "Don't tell Mommy," she whispered weakly. "She'll be mad." The plea shattered Amara's heart. She brushed the child's hair back. "No one will be mad, sweetheart." "I promise." But that promise would soon be tested. Later that day, Victoria stormed into the room once again. Her heels clicked like hammer strikes against the floor. She stopped cold at the sight of Isabella lying under a blanket, Amara pressing a cool cloth to her forehead. "What now?" Victoria's voice was sharp, slicing through the quiet. "Every time I walk in, she's sprawled about looking sick. It's humiliating. Amara, remove her from here. Stop coddling her. You're making it worse." Amara rose slowly, her heart pounding, but her voice remained steady. "With respect, ma'am, Isabella is ill. She needs rest and comfort, not shame." Victoria's nostrils flared. "Comfort? She'll never learn resilience if you treat her like glass. Do you know how many families wish they had this life, and yet she wastes it with weakness?" Something snapped inside Amara. "It isn't weakness," she said firmly, surprising even herself. "It's her body fighting every single day. She's stronger than you realize. But when you speak like that, you make her believe she doesn't deserve love." Silence filled the room. Isabella's wide eyes flicked between them, fear mingled with hope. "You forget your place," Victoria hissed. "You're a maid." Nothing more. But before Amara could respond, another voice thundered, "Enough!" James stood in the doorway, his face pale with fury. He set his briefcase down with a sharp thud. "Victoria, I won't listen to you belittle her again." "Not our daughter, and not Amara." Victoria's eyes widened. "You're defending her? A maid? Against your own wife?" "I'm defending what's right," James shot back. He strode across the room, kneeling beside Isabella once more. He held her tiny hand, and his voice broke. "She deserves love, Victoria. She deserves to know she matters more than parties and appearances." And Amara is the only one showing her that Isabella's lip trembled. For the first time in weeks, she whispered, "Daddy, don't fight." James kissed her forehead gently. "We're not fighting, Angel. We're protecting you." He looked at Amara. "Take her upstairs. Sit with her." "I'll handle this." Amara obeyed, carrying Isabella upstairs, feeling the girl's heartbeat flutter against her chest. She sat by her until her breathing slowed and sleep finally claimed her. Downstairs, muffled voices rose and fell. Victoria's sharp anger, James's steady, unyielding replies. Hours later, the house fell silent again. The next morning, everything changed. James entered the kitchen, where Amara was preparing tea for Isabella. His face was weary but resolute. "I've spoken with her doctors," he said. "We're getting Isabella the treatment she needs, no matter the cost." He paused, his voice faltering before he looked Amara in the eye. "And I want you here, not just as a maid, as someone I can trust with my daughter's life." Amara blinked, stunned. "Sir, I don't know what to say." A small voice came from the doorway. "Say yes." Isabella stood there in her pajamas, clutching her stuffed bunny. Her lips curved into a weak but genuine smile. "Please stay." Tears filled Amara's eyes. She knelt, pulling the girl into her arms. "I'll stay as long as you need me, sweetheart." "For as long as you want me." Behind them, James exhaled, his shoulders sagging with relief. For the first time in years, the Harrington mansion began to feel less like a prison and more like a home. That evening, Victoria's heels echoed one last time against the marble floors. Amara heard the sound of suitcases being dragged, followed by the slam of the front door. Upstairs, Isabella slept peacefully for the first time in weeks. James sat protectively by her bedside, and Amara's hand rested gently on hers. The perfect house, once cold and empty, had finally become a place of love